Greg and Richard right here on Talking Red.
Hello and welcome to Talking Reds, a Nottingham Forest podcast hosted by myself, Greg Oram. Sadly, no Richard Spray with us today. He'll be back with us very soon, though. Today, we're looking ahead to a huge European night for Nottingham Forest as the Reds prepare for the first leg of their Europa League round of 16 tie against FC Midtjylland. And of course, we all know there's a little bit of history here, because earlier in the competition, the Danish side came to the City Ground and beat Forest 3-2 in the group stage, a result that definitely left a mark and effectively sealed the fate of Ange Postecoglou. So this tie has a little bit of revenge narrative about it, but more importantly, it's a massive opportunity. Forest are now in the knockouts phase of a European competition, and the prize on offer is a place in the quarterfinals. Midtjylland are no pushovers either. They're a very well-organised side, famously data-driven in their recruitment and tactics, and they've already shown they can cause Forest problems. So the big question is, what have Forest learned since that defeat? And how does Vítor Pereira approach the first leg of this two-legged European tie, when so much is still at stake in the Premier League? Joining me to break it all down, we have Raf, the random pundit, and from down under, it's Scott Terry. We'll be looking at the tactical battle, the key players, and what Forest need to do tonight, or rather on Thursday night, to put themselves in a strong position going into the second leg.
Back to Forest though by Murillo and then Anderson. Murillo back on the ball and gliding forward here, the big Brazilian number 5. Excellent run, there's the shot, oh it's in! Murillo back in the team with a brilliant individual goal. He's gone towards the near foot. Got it quick. Oh, it's 2-0. They totally switched off Fenerbahce. It's the first corner for either team tonight. It's a good one. It's 2-1. And it's Igor Jesus again. Played it through. Gibbs White. Jesus is there as well. Gibbs White then stumbled and puts it in. And the flag stays down.
Just a little callback to some of the goals we've scored in this competition thus far already. Some very good memories. One or two not so great memories in FC Midtjylland and that night at the City Ground in our first home game in this competition is something that I remember for the wrong reasons for a long time. I was in that crowd that night. The toxicity at the end of it was palpable. We know the roller coaster of this season. We are now looking to write a fresh chapter, a fresh positive chapter in Forest's story in Europe. If you're with us in the comments, please let us know you're here. Good morning to Big Arn. He says, "Ayop Reds, great to have you with us. Get those baby Guinnesses ready." And if you're listening on a podcast somewhere later, thank you so much for doing so. We would love you to like and subscribe wherever you are. It really helps us out. Okay, right. Let's get straight into it. The first thing I want to chat about with Raf and Scott, the ticket prices. Now, Forest have come under a lot of pressure and a lot of criticism because they priced the tickets for this one, I think we all agree, pretty high. They were like from something like 50 to 70 pounds. And that sparked criticism from supporters. And then they did back down and they cut £10 off to season card holders and members within the last 24 hours. And they were going to obviously refund people if they'd bought them already. They've now gone further. This morning, we had the tweet come out that says, as the club prepares for tomorrow's UEFA League round of 16 match against FC Midtjylland, we have listened to supporter concerns regarding the cost of tickets for this fixture. Wow. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. We're going to get into that. I mean, adults now go from 15 to 30 pounds, which is really reasonable, I guess you could say. And seniors and youths and children all have reduced price as well. Raf, come to you first. Does this show the importance of fan pressure? Without supporter backlash, would the club have backed down?
It's one of those. I don't. Without being a Pete Blackburn, I don't know. Like you don't know the unknown. So would they have done it without all of the fan groups getting together? I'm glad they did because it's that's the type of thing that's kind of the Forest core. It's the rebel city. It's it's everyone banding together and standing up for what is right, or what is perceptionally right, and right for society as well. It's really interesting how far they've gone in slashing them. And for me, it's really strange, because if you take a step back, this is for a place in the quarterfinals of the Europa League, and you've got tickets that are going on sale for 15 quid for adults. Something doesn't fit, right? And we've just got to, there could be many reasons of why this is the case, and lots of people are speculating as to why. But my major problem is, how have we got to this? And what are the decisions that are being made at the top that are potentially, in their first instances, so disconnected from the fan base in the first place? When we've worked, you work out the numbers, the difference in the money is not dramatic, right, at all, of what they're earning when you have a look at some of the other activity that's going around in the club during the year. But on the upside, to give it balance, is that they are listening, right? We've made managerial errors. Marinakis put his hand up, got rid of Ange way quicker than people thought he would when he realised he's made an error. And again, this is where the club is not infallible. But what I love about this club is that it listens and it puts its hands up when it's got something wrong, and it does something about it.
Okay, Scott, what about you? I mean, has this distracted from the game itself? Because it has come a bit of a talking point. And I know obviously you're looking on it from afar, down under and so on. But I still interested in your opinion on this, because ticket prices have always been a bone of contention. The more successful you are, the more expensive it becomes almost. And the other thing I'll chuck in as well to the mix, Forest seem to release a brand new clothing range in the shop once every 3 weeks, 4 weeks, because it's constantly, oh, here comes this range and here comes that range. You know, there's a constant churn of items, and they're not cheap as well. So parents and fans are being asked to fork out for apparel, shirts, merchandise, and then tickets on top. Where do you stand on this? Is this a good thing that they've backed down, Scott?
I think so, yeah. I think if we can attract more fans to the game, I mean, because Raf says this is to get into the quarterfinals of the Europa League. If we can, if we win this game and we go through, then that is massive for the club. Arguably, you could say this is our biggest European game since 20 plus whatever years ago it is, that since we were last in Europe. So I think if we can attract more players to come to the games, sorry, not more players, more fans to come to the game, I would rather us play in front of a packed out City ground, make sure that we have full representation from all the fans. And this may also give an opportunity to people that maybe who can't afford some of those higher price tickets as well. So I think it's a great opportunity for those for all fans to actually get to the game. And I think just sort of coming to your point as well, Greg, that you get so much, you get, as you said, you get your sort of new kit released, new apparel released, all this. I know the club, needs to make money. We need to be paying players. We need to make sure that we can afford to stay afloat as a Premier League team. But I think if we can attract as many fans as possible, and we can get all those fans in the ground, create a great atmosphere, create that that sort of hopefully that winning feeling for everyone in the ground, and spur the players on. I would much rather we had a full City ground and fans playing 15 to 30 quid for a ticket for adults. Let's get the place full. Let's get it buzzing. Let's get everyone jumping up and down, supporting Forest, and really getting behind the team. So I think this is a positive move by the club. I know I think Steve Battlemuch is sort of in some of the chats which we have amongst the group. He sort of talked around this as well, and the fact that a lot of the fans have actually lobbied the club to actually sort of reduce prices as well. So I think it's a positive step. Let's get the City ground sold out, get as many people in there as we can, get them all cheering for Forest, give ourselves the best opportunity to actually win.
Yeah, a full house is the way forward, and fans getting behind the team. I was at the Fenerbahce game, the last one we at home. and there were some empty seats, not loads, but there were some empty seats, and it was starting to tell then that the strain of more matches and high prices was taking its toll. So look, I think it's a good move from the club. I think if you're going to have a club that holds its hands up and comes out and says, look, we've listened, we've got it wrong, we're going to make a change. Those fans that have already purchased, you are going to get a refund. Andrew's in the comments. He says, if you check the ticket website, they still remain at full price. I haven't looked myself. I wonder if you go through to the basket, if it edits then. He also mentions that he's paid £60 for his. Not sure how much he's going to get back with the updated prices. Well, the club have said, look, you are going to get a partial refund to make up the difference. It will take some time to come through. But I think ultimately doing the right thing is important, and we should be pleased about that. I also think as well, I saw or heard that the Premier League darts is in town as well in Nottingham or close by. So ticket sales for that would have possibly have had an impact on people. And I think that was already planned before we even got through. So look, things happen. And I think the club responding the way they have is a positive thing. All right, let's talk about the match. Team shape and personnel, thinking about that first and foremost, folks. How different should Forest look tonight compared to a Premier League game is probably the biggest question. And this is the one we've been asking constantly when it comes to weighing up the Europa game with a Premier League game coming 4 days later. Do you expect Vítor Pereira to stick with the kind of league-shaped team, or does a two-leg European tie demand something more different, something where the fringe players are coming into it a bit more, Raf? So what are you thinking at first look? Strongest team or get some fringes in right now?
So this is where it's quite interesting, and it's the lay of what we're trying to do. And ideally, we'd like to be able to get 6 points, 4 points minimum out of Fulham and Spurs as those two games. And we've kind of got these games a bit sandwiched. There is a gap, though, after that, and we get another rest. So it's these 4 games in a kind of package. And the way that I'm seeing it is kind of channeling my inner Bertels to a degree, is put your strongest team out first, get the job done, then make your changes of what you're doing. And the way that we've got this is if we go out and we Fenerbahce this and win 3-0 in the first leg, then that puts a lot less pressure on that second leg, and then you can potentially make some changes. And the players should have enough to be able to do this first, full ball first team, to do this and then to do Fulham, right? And Vítor's come out to go 2 games isn't a problem, 3 games is. And he was quite transparent on conditioning with the players. And remember, they've had a large amount of time off to reset themselves as well, which is really good. So for me, full power this game, smash them, get it done. Fulham, full power, smash them. If we have smashed them, go to Midtjylland, reverse fixture. Yes, it is going to them, but we can water it down slightly, rest the key players, looking at Spurs to be able to then focus on Spurs, but creep over the line, little bit Fenerbahce as well, to creep over the line in the second leg. It's no one cares about the scoreline. You're just in the next round or not. So that's kind of my approach.
Pat Brett in the comments says, look, we have 2 home games, so there's no travel. It might be or should be different to a Wednesday, Saturday Premier League week. So that's something to consider. Scott, you were asking your people down under this kind of question. And you ran a poll. I put it up for people to see. Take us through what you were asking and what the natives down under, the Forest fans down under, think about how strong we should go in this game.
Yeah, this is something which is, I mean, we've talked about it on Talking Reds. I see a lot of this sort of chat on the socials as well, all around, how strong do we go? Do we play our first 11? And essentially, I gave 3 options in terms of the poll. And the first option there was, do we go with our first 11? And the Europa League is still very much a priority. The second option was, well, do we play literally a second string, or almost like the rest of the remaining squad that we have in the Europa League squad, and essentially we're saving the first 11 for the Premier League? Or do we go in with a bit of a mix, some of the first 11 and then some of those squad players? And you can see there that, so for the first 11, 17%, there was around about 100 people that actually responded. So for the first 11, 17% of people thought we should go in strong. We should play that first 11, similar to what Raf was saying, is that we go in hard. We try and get a lead. We try and sort of get some confidence. The biggest amount of votes actually came out for we should go in with the second string, almost like our squad players, and we should save all of this, almost like the first 11 team for the Premier League. So very much prioritising the Premier League over the Europa. And that's certainly something which we've heard, certainly which I've heard as well over the sort of the last coming weeks. We're still in the relegation scrap. We're very much in the relegation scrap. So we need to be saving our first 11 for Premier League and a second string sort of squad 11 for Europa. And then the mixed 11 as well. Again, we'd place, similar to kind of what we've done in quite a few games already in the Europa League. We've played that kind of mixed 11 where there's been some players from the first, almost like from the first 11 which we'd play, and then some of those squad players. I've kind of flip-flopped on this. I've been persuaded somewhat about how Raf just spoke about it just then as well, is that I initially went for, I kind of think Premier League is our priority. So I actually went for the second option there, the second string sort of squad 11. We should go with that, and whatever 11 we can sort of muster from our Europa League squad that isn't kind of that first 11, we should go with them. But I also think as well, and I think it's just been articulated in the chat as well, is that we've got 2 home games coming up. So with the 2 home games, does that change our thinking slightly? And also, from a momentum perspective as well, if we go into the Europa game, say we did start with, say, our first 11, we maybe got a 1 or 2 goal lead, we got that confidence, we can get a bit of momentum, and we can hold that. Then potentially we then bring on some of the second string players after sort of 60 minutes and give the first 11 players a bit of a rest, ready for Fulham on Sunday. And then we've got that momentum, we've got that that sort of confidence going into the game. But I could sort of argue it many different ways. But I guess the key question is: do we still see the Europa as a priority, or is it that we see the Premier League as a priority?
Well, I think the truth is that staying in the Premier League is really, really important and is the out-and-out priority. However, the big man at the top is going to fancy our chances to kind of fight on 2 fronts. So getting points on the board as soon as possible in the Premier League is of vital importance. But this is the home leg as well. On Thursday, tomorrow night, in fact, this is the home leg where you'd fancy, if you're going to have an opportunity to maybe get a couple of goals advantage, it's more likely that it's going to be in front of a sellout crowd, hopefully now. So my own gut feeling is that he'll go as strong as possible. They've had that week's rest as well. So they've had a week off. So they've had a chance to really recharge their batteries. And I think he'll go full strength in terms of what he thinks is his best team, with a view to, as Raf says, putting this game to bed as much as possible. But we know that they're a danger. We have Fulham coming on Sunday. So I think that that's also going to have to come into play. He'll like to probably, I think, play the best team, score some goals, and then get 1 or 2 off the pitch as soon as possible. Raf, you want to come back in?
Yeah, quick point. I've just seen that Yatesy is doing the press conference with Vítor. Does that throw the cat amongst the pigeons?
No, I don't think it does. I mean, I think that's going to be at 2:30. So if you've got Forest TV membership, you can watch it live at 2:30. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it does or it doesn't. I don't think it necessarily means that if someone's doing the press conference, they start. But it could be. It's again just another. I don't know what it means. But we're going to think about team. We're going to think about the team now and who we might pick. And so we've come up with, rather than ask these guys to say what they think their team would be, we've come up with a few different options, right? So he's gone with a back 3 recently. Raf, I'm going to come to you on this. Sales in goal, Murillo, Milenkovic, Cunha as a back 3, Williams and Aina in the wing-back position with a midfield three of Anderson, Sangare, Dominguez, with Igor Jesus up front with Gibbs White. Just before you come in, Ralph, let me quickly say this as well. When we played Midtjylland at home under Ange Postecoglou, he played a 3-4-3. And that was Sales in goal, a back three of Milenkovic, Morato, Murillo, and Doy, Anderson, Sangare, and Williams in the four-man midfield with Gibbs White, Jesus, and Callum Hudson-Odoi. So that was a really strong team as well, in a similar kind of shape. What are you thinking, Raf, on this shape? Do you think this is a go or not?
I would just qualify what you have on paper with Ange is not necessarily where the players actually play. You had Milenkovic being like a winger at one stage during that game, and some other madness that was also going on. So yeah, absolutely, yeah. Just I like this, and I do think that we're now going to see a back three more often than not going forward to the end of the season. There's a couple of reasons for this. The first is it allows a platform to more interaction above of a more stable basis. The second is it gives us more height on the pitch to be able to deal with set pieces, which are a problem for us. The third is that when we were all, and you still question it right now, Nets not being put into the Europa squad and Cunha was put in instead, this is what it allows us to do by doing that. And this is the natural transition for me of if you're looking for it. And Cunha stepped up. The guy's a serious talent and he stepped up. So actually, that's not weakening the back line to me. If anything, it's actually strengthening what we can do. The dude is tall, seriously tall as well. So that gives height along the back line as well. And attacking set pieces gives us an option too. It pushes Nico and Ola a bit further up justifiably, okay, and gives them a bit more cover in their really harsh role of being fullbacks, right? Or now here wingbacks. But for me, I love this team. And I think this is probably, you might find that Dominguez gets dropped out and we have Callum up top just because it's at home and we can play 2 flat 4, but he might want the security and maybe move to that once we've got control of the game and see where it's gone and drop a midfielder out and put another attacker on to either catch up or turn the screw. But this is a safe, I'd be happy with this as a safe option, but you might see it a little bit more attacking. But the back three, I'd put money on it being a back three when we come out.
I mean, I guess, Scott, the interesting thing is that since we played Midtjylland last time, we've had another manager come in and come and go, which is neither here nor there, I guess. Vítor Pereira's got something to work with in terms of a match to look at. How did these teams play when they faced each other? I think it was back in October, wasn't it, or something like that? What happened in that game? What can I learn from that game? So he's got something to analyse, and I wonder if he's going to be able to pick up on some of the problems that night. Set piece defending was a huge issue. If Midtjylland target that again, do you think Forest are ready to counter that? It's been a problem all season.
I mean, Raf just called it right. Cunha's a big guy. He's tall, so you're adding him into the mix there with Milenkovic. So we've got more height in there. We've got more defensive solidity from both from set pieces, but also defending and good headers of the ball. I mean, that is a key area of strength for Midtjylland is their set pieces. So I think having a back three and having Cunha in there certainly would go well for us. I think this would be certainly. I wouldn't say. I better be careful what I say. I think this would be certainly a very strong team. I mean, just going back to the poll which we did, not many people actually went for that full strength 11, which this essentially is. I think, as you said, potentially you could put in Hudson-Odoi instead of Dominguez. It can maybe some a slightly more sort of running and attacking threat there. But this is a very strong side. This is essentially our kind of first 11. So I would. I think from a statement of intent, I think this would be a very strong side for us to put out, and I would like to see this side, but I've always got my mind on the next game. I've always thinking around the next game, the Fulham game. I know, as you said, we've just gone and had a break, these 2 games at home, and but is this gonna wear out our team? Is this gonna wear out the 11 players that you can see there? Do we want to go in that strong for this game? I'm still on the fence. I'm still not sure whether or not that we should go this strong. But just to answer your question, I do think we are, in terms of learning from the last game, they are very strong set piece. So yeah, adding some more height in there, I can only see will actually help us in terms of adding Cunha.
Murillo was coming back from injury in that game and actually had to go off. Sangari played in the middle. And wasn't the Sangari that he's become. He was on his way to becoming the Sangari that we're really enjoying watching. And so this team has evolved, albeit we've still had challenging times. I'd like to think that the players themselves, the personnel, will have learned from coming up against Midtjylland. They'll know, having gone toe-to-toe with them, what they're capable of. So it's a valid concern to have, Scott, when it comes to personnel and choices and who we pick and so forth. I mean, the other idea we could do is the 4-2-3-1, which is the tried and tested route, which sees Williams, Morello, Milinkovic and Aina in that traditional back 4. Sells is back in goal, guys. And in case you missed it, he's back in the Europa squad. He was the original goalkeeper named alongside Angus Gunn. Angus Gunn had come in for John Victor as his injury replacement and therefore stays in. And don't forget, Ortega only came into the squad as an injury replacement for Sells. Now Sells is fit again. The switch back is automatically made. You don't get a choice in the matter. And Ortega's injured anyway, we think. So Sells is back in the squad. He'll be back in goal. This team has Anderson Sangari in that midfield too. And then we're playing out-and-out wingers in this formation with Hudson-Odoi, Hutchinson alongside Gibbs-White in the 10. Igor Jesus up tops. Scott, I'll just come to you on this. I mean, if he goes full strength, are you more comfortable with this kind of formation, or are you still thinking if it is full strength, I want it to be the back 3?
I think having the wingers in there, so with Hudson-Odoi and Hutch, I mean, instead of obviously Williams and Aina sort of pushing more up with having and knowing that they've got that back 3 behind them, in this formation we do have Hudson-Odoi and Hutch, who are going to be up there, who are going to be taking on the fullbacks that are opposite them. So I think there's potential for us to create more with this with this formation and attack more with this formation. But as we know, Vítor Pereira, he does like a back 3. He does seem to sort of like to go with that formation. And of course, we need to remember against Man City, which is where he did play the back 3. I think for the first time, we were successful, and we had a really good game against City and came back twice to get that well-earned point and a really good draw. So it's a tough one, and this is why he gets paid the money to be a manager and work out what formation that he wants. But I think this one does give us more attacking intent, the formation that you've got on the screen there. But as we just spoke around, having a back 3 with a little bit extra height with Cunha will provide us with a bit more defensive stability in terms of those set pieces. And we would just need to make sure that Williams and Aina do push up more and give us a little bit more width. So I don't know. I'm on the fence. I would be happy with either formation if as I look at it.
But it sounds like you'd prefer possibly there to be more of a blend of one or two of the second choice players coming in. So I'll come back to you on that in just a moment. I'll go to a couple of the comments. And Matthew Mitchell says, there's no way on earth they're going to have been through all of this with the pricing, trying to get a full house in the ground and then play a second string. You could be onto something there, Matthew. Pat Brett, he says, absolutely not a weak team in Europe. Go for every game, build momentum. Look at Spurs at Atletico. That defeat has really hurt them. Well, yeah, we could talk about Spurs, but that's a whole other podcast because that was absolutely bonkers last night. There was a game against them coming up, so we'll have a chance to have our opinion on them in good time. Yeah, they're not called thingy. So Ryan Yates hopefully will have learned the lesson from Morgan Gibbs-White when he got the name muddled up last time. And Simon says, look, the club didn't change the ticket price because of the supporters' opinion. It's because the ground is half empty with unsold tickets. Yeah, I think it's a bit of both. I think the opinion of the fans is that, listen, it's too expensive, so we're not coming. And that probably did help prompt the club into action. Raf, you've already said, look, it's got to be a back three for me, back three all the way. But, you know, if it goes to a back four again and the 4-2-3-1, he did play that against Fenerbahce in the first leg when we won 3-0. Is this the kind of team you'd be happy with those two wingers on show?
To be honest, I'm not a stickler like one's going to work and one's not. We've seen both work for us. So it's really about the attitude of a team and how it matches up. And that's why we loved Nuno. Nuno was a thinker. He looked at the opposition and he put out a team that fitted the situation quite a lot of the time. And us being quite unskilled, sometimes we scratch our heads and go, why has he done that? And then we play a game and go, right, okay, yeah. So that's what I like about Vítor. He's not wedded to a system, right? Which we've seen managers come seriously unstuck across the league when they're wedded to a system and it not working out all the way up and down the league as well. So I don't mind what we put out. But what I would say is right now, and everyone may be shocked for me to say this, Morgan Gibbs-White is possibly the key to all of this at the moment. Over the last 2 games, he has transitioned into a proper leader, and it is brilliant to see. He's encouraging people, not berating them on the ground, right? And on the pitch, before the games, in the tunnels, everything is really positive, and he's leading by example as well. And his magic is coming from getting him as far forward as possible. And that formation I struggle with because it gets Morgan dropping deeper again. And what I like about the 3 in mid is it pushes him up near Jesus, which unlocks Jesus because Jesus needs someone close to him. Then we have Morgan Gibbs-White, who plays better when he's around the box. So both players, using a Danishism, activate more when they're together up in the opposition box quite a lot of the time. And the beauty of that as well is if Callum comes on and we have Callum instead of one of the 3 midfielders, because you might do a bit of rest and play Dommy instead of one of the other 2. But if Callum starts as well, Callum and Morgan can be tight in 2 10s supporting Jesus. And I've been saying this forever. Callum is a lethal weapon when he is in the middle of the pitch and he can activate more and he's got the whole goal to aim at with his ability to be able to shoot. And to have that little triangle of them around the box, I think will be lethal.
It's interesting because you're absolutely right. It's very telling when Morgan is in that high role. Just how his game is just comes to life a bit more. Maybe he just thinks, you know, I could really make things happen for the team when I'm this much further up. And I wonder if it's an interesting thing when it comes to formation choices, because different personnel come into play. That might be a way of him thinking, well, look, I can actually rest players. I can play a really strong team in a 3 at the back with that midfield and the 2 up top, and be happy and get a result. And then I can switch it against Fulham and go to a 4-2-3-1 by bringing the wingers in because they didn't play in the week. And maybe Cunha comes out and it just kind of maybe rests maybe Dominguez as well from coming back in and out. So maybe 2 or 3 key players might be rested because of the fact that he's changing the personnel to form up with the formation he wants. So I guess it's a wait and see thing. I'm going to go to a break, but just quickly, Scott, I'm just going to come to you on this. So give me a quick answer. Which of the fringe players then would you be happy to see? A McAtee, an Ndoye, a Bakwa? They're the 3 that I guess stand out in terms of if you're going to mix it up and you maybe feel a bit more settled about not going gung-ho with the first choice. How many of those players would you want to see start, or if any of them?
I think McAtee has shown that in glimpses that he can bring a level of performance to the team. Bakwa has really struggled, but I think he struggled because he hasn't had those regular opportunities, which he really needs to sort of to get comfortable and play within the team. I think Ndoye. I mean, Ndoye, I found so frustrating because for his national team, he plays really well. He has good games. He scores goals. He gets assists as well. But yet when he plays for Forest, and obviously potentially it's a formation, maybe it's a different sort of way of playing. That he seems to struggle as well. But I think for me it would be McAtee that I would say I would want to give an opportunity to first, Adoy second, and then Bakwa third maybe. But he's still struggling. He really is struggling. He's struggling to get into games.
And we're not mentioning Lorenzo Luca. Apparently he's had a knock, but he just seems like he's completely bombed. And when it comes to Europe, he's the only other striker we have available. So if he's fit, I'd expect him to be on the bench so that we can maybe change Igor Jesus up later on if we are in control of the game. Just before we go to a break, let me say a couple of good mornings. Big Arn's gone back to work. He's gutted, but we'll catch up with him later. A good friend of Talking Reds is always dropping me a couple of messages regarding information and news. Brandon said that apparently there's been some players that have missed training. Not sure about that. We'll maybe find out on Vítor Pereira's press conference about any injury news at 2:30. Trevor Trances is in his tracksuit again. He says the ground is still half empty if you look at the ticket availability. Maybe there'll be some late purchases. And so let's just hope that fans take up. I would definitely be going. If I lived closer, I 100% would be going. It's just not feasible for me to get up on Thursday night this time. Bryn's with us from West Wales, sunny West Wales. He says, keep smiling. We will try to do that. And afternoon to Tim Shipman in the chat as well. Danscape says, McAtee would be Midtjylland's target number one at set pieces. Yeah, we have to think about that as well. I mean, when McAtee's coming into play, is where we play him as well. He really struggled in the second leg against Fenerbahce. You're listening, watching along with the Talking Reds. We do try, I promise. We do try.
Talking Reds have partnered with sports fashion brand The Streets Will Remember to showcase their Nottingham Forest Miracle Men range. A collection inspired by the iconic back-to-back European Cup wins from Forest's history. The range includes caps, hoodies, t-shirts and socks, designed for supporters who want Forest culture represented properly, away from generic merch and rooted in football memory. Each piece reflects the achievements, spirit and greatness of the Forest legends we honour. Creating more than fashion, The Streets Will Remember craft timeless narratives that inspire, connecting style with the essence of sporting excellence. We'll be wearing pieces from the Miracle Men collection on the channel, and you can explore the full range via the link in the bio. If Forest history matters to you, this one is definitely worth a look.
Yes, indeed. You'll notice that I've got on the 1979/1980 Celebration Miracle Men hat from The Streets Will Remember. Don't forget that you can get 15% off every time you go and order something. You can put in the discount code TRP15, 15% off at The Streets Will Remember. Hoodies and t-shirts is a really good range, really good quality. So I encourage you to check them out. I know one or two watchers, listeners have been and gone and picked up something already. All right, let's do this.
Send them back to East London! We send them back!
I hope anybody's not stupid enough to write us off.
Midtjylland have been dangerous in Europe. They finished third in the league phase with 6 wins from 8 games. They have a good record. Let's find out a bit more about them with our quick opposition preview with the Random Pundit.
Hey guys, right. So all in all, we kind of know what Midtjylland are about, right? We played them before, and oh my gosh, yeah, it was a game that, to be fair, we should have won if we just didn't make stupid mistakes. I don't think this is going to be anything different. They are in quite good form, to be honest, as Greg has alluded to. If you look at their last games, they've won their last 4 of which, sorry, no, they've kind of come off it. They won their first 4, but they've had a little bit more mixed. They won their last game against Zagreb, but before that, draw, win, and a loss. So they are imperious. They were sitting top of the tree. They've come off a little bit. And I think this is probably the right time to play against them. We know what their strengths are. It's set pieces, it's height, it's strength. It's actually, they're very good at countering transition of when they get the ball. They're very good at that. And we saw that against us. But again, they are big, but they're aggressive. So they can foul quite a lot. And they're not perfect at the back. And this is where, when you've got a Callum Hudson-Odoi and you've got a Hutch and you've got a Morgan Gibbs-White, they are prone to giving away the odd penalty as well. And that is something that we could look at. Now, what are they going to do? Well, interestingly enough, they have, it looks like when they are in Europa, they deploy a back 3. Okay, so they'll have Olofsson in goal, and then they'll probably have their back 3 of Sorensen, Ehrlich and Diarra at the back, or well, potentially. I don't know if Ehrlich's going to be fit or what's going on, but it will probably be a back 3. They favour a back 4 when they're in their league. Then you're probably going to have a 4 that sit in the midfield. So they're looking at a 3-4-2-1, which might be similar if we have Callum and Morgan sitting behind Jesus. So that's really the formation that they're going to use. And I don't know if Olofsson is fit or not, but if Olofsson's their striker, and if he is fit, then he will play. But if he's not fit, that's quite awesome for us. And I don't know what his availability is quite like. It might be touch and go for him to start. So if we have a look at just some of the names now, from beforehand, when we did this the first time round, Sincere was someone that I highlighted just because he is the kind of person that makes things happen in midfield. And he's still one of the top 3 rated over Europa average ratings, the 7.39. If we move up to who's second in terms of in Europa, who's performed the best for them, guess who? It's Philip Billing. And he's probably going to come back to bite us in the ass. So he's the one that's been a really good performer for them, a 7.43. But it is their... so Olofsson in... goalkeeper. What am I... I don't know. I'm all up to date. Right. Their goalkeeper, Olofsson, is fit. He's the one that is then going to be... he's key to them, and the keeper's really kept them in games massively. We'll have a look when we see it beforehand. Where goals have come from, it's not like they've talismanically got them coming from their striker, but they've kind of chipped in with 3 from Dew, from Ehrlich, Diallo as well. But again, as you can see, 2 of those 3 players are defenders, so it's those set pieces where the goals are coming from. And the assists, this is the Simseers, these are the Billings, they're the ones that are creating for them. So we need to make sure that the midfield do their job and lock them down. What's key for them, though, is their goal conversion rate. It's a bit of the old Forest from last season of where we were elite in front of goals. Wood was elite. So they've got a goal conversion rate of, so chances converted into goals, of 19%. And the average in the Champions League is 7.5%. It just shows you how good they are at taking their chances. Okay. And again, big chances missed. Average is 205 in Europa. Theirs is only 1.4. So they're taking their big chances and they're really, really converting. This is the other key thing as well. Is where are they attacking from? The locations of their 17 goals, 10 have come from inside the 6-yard box. When we do our Premier League stuff, it's usually about between 10 and maybe top end of 18%. They've got over 50% of their goals come from inside that 6-yard box. That's the danger. That's the set pieces. That's why we probably play a back 3-4. That's kind of really what we're looking at. Why they're good at what they do, where they're going to hurt each other, probably how they like what formation we can probably expect from them.
Okay, fantastic as ever. Thank you very much indeed. We have experienced it as Forest fans. It was supposed to be our European homecoming when we played them at home in the first game at the City Ground in this Europa campaign, Scott. How do you kind of sum up this whole European adventure this season, Scott? Because we were all excited, we all wanted Europe. We thought we were going to be going to the Champions League, and then we ended up in the conference, and then finally, because of the whole Palace situation, it was the Europa. It became quite messy, and it's kind of got in the way of our season now, because relegation rather, and avoiding relegation has become the most important thing in fans' eyes. And you referenced that when you were talking about your team. Adam in the comments says, I couldn't give a toss about tomorrow. The Fulham match is a million times more important. Would you be happy if we went out in this round and just moved on?
I mean, it's a tough one, isn't it? And this goes back to that whole priority around, what is it? Is Premier League, staying in the Premier League, is that a priority, or is Europe the priority? And I think it's been a brilliant adventure, being in Europe again. Some of the guys on Talking Reds have gone to European destinations. I think Raf, you've been to a few places as well. So I think to get back into Europe, to enjoy those nights out, both at the City Ground but also away at some of these European venues and stadium, and enjoying European cities. I think that's where you can get so much enjoyment from being in Europe and your Forest playing in Europe. And I've seen, I unfortunately haven't been able to get to some of the Europe away games, but it's been really good to see. We've seen photos, we've seen sort of some videos of some of the guys. I think Dan Scape's been there, Steve Battlemuch has been there, Raf as well, Paul. And just seeing them, the experiences they've had, and seeing that has been, it sort of makes you feel really good and positive. But at the same time, it's kind of been, we've had so much turmoil this season, so many managers, so much, games where we've had some great games where in Europe, and then all of a sudden we've gone and had some real horror games as well where, but that's been our season, right? We've had like maybe 2 games maximum where we've actually played well, and then we've gone and had some poor games after that. So I think from a European perspective, it's been great to be back in Europe, but unfortunately we've had these moments where we've not been able to fully enjoy it because we've not been, because of the turmoil, because of the constant change that we've had, because of some of the inconsistent performances that we've seen from the team. And now we're in a position where we're getting to the business end of the season. We're still in the relegation scrap. We've still got to be very focused on the league, and that's kind of marginalized a little bit in my mind the Europa League. That we absolutely, if you could guarantee me we're going to stay in the Premier League, I'd say absolutely, let's have the biggest European run we can have, and let's really go for it. But I think for me the priority is the Premier League. We have to stay in the Premier League, so therefore all European adventure, all European games would be slightly lesser in priority than staying in the Premier League, which is unfortunate because we've got such an amazing history in Europe, and there's so much good times and experiences that as the fans have had, and the guys Talking Reds podcast folk as well that have been on those adventures as well. So it's just a little, for me, it's a little bit tough when we've got to say, well, maybe the Premier League's the focus, and we've got to take a step back slightly from Europa.
Yeah, Tim Shipman says winning breeds confidence. We proved we can get at them. Certainly, we did come at them in the game that we lost, and I thought we were going to get back to 3-3. Steve-O says we got to go for it. The most realistic chance of silverware with Champions League possibly attached, or would be attached if you win it. It doesn't come around very often. So I guess it's about timing, Raf, because there was Dan Scape is really good at putting together, teams that have got this many points after so many games. Historically, the relegation possibility is this percent versus staying up being this percent. And what I remember from that, reading that, was if Forest beat Fulham and Spurs, which I think is completely possible, more than possible, we're at home to Fulham and we're playing Spurs who just look completely
They're a bin fire.
They are
They're
done. They're done.
Bin fire.
That gives us 6 points. That puts us on 34 points. Teams that have played the amount of games it would be, I can't remember, and be on 34 points. I think it was like 90-something% of those teams in the last however many years in the history of the Premier League have survived. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that the turnaround in mentality about this European competition could very quickly, if we beat Fulham and Spurs, become actually, right, we feel like we're going to be pretty safe in the Premier League now. Let's go for it. Because I've said for all year, finish 17th and win the Europa, and that becomes a real possibility. So how crucial is the next 2 weeks, Raf? Get through Midtjylland, beat Fulham and Spurs. It changes the season again, doesn't it?
It swings and roundabouts. And what I will say from that, if we go and beat Fulham and we beat Spurs, then we suddenly can go, well, we've got breathing room. We can now really focus on Europa. Well, you're not going to be able to focus on Europa if you've played a backup side twice and then got beaten by Midtjylland. That's off the table. And I will say, if you make 5 or 6 changes or more, we will lose. We've proved that time and time again when we've tried it. So if you want to win and want to get through, we need to play, and we can change maximum 2 to 3 players. Absolutely maximum to get the job done. But as everyone will know, I've championed the Europa League as the thing that we need to focus on this season, right? Squeaky bum time with the league. I still think everything will be all right. Champions League are the dream. But I chat to Emma quite a lot, who's got full of absolutely genius ideas and really good ways of thinking about things. We kind of came to this conclusion. I bounced it off her. She thinks actually we're going to go undefeated. It's going to be brilliant. But I would say, do we want Champions League now? I've just seen how it's gone so far this season, right? Of how we have struggled doing Thursday, Sunday. If you get Champions League, it's not playing backup sides. You're going to have to play your first 11 every single Tuesday or Wednesday throughout the whole of the league, right? And if we're playing our full 11 the entire time, what is that going to do to us in the league? Even worse than what's happened to us this season as well. Yes, there's been the instability with the managers, but it's just going to get harder. And we haven't dealt with it that well this season as well. There'll be
a huge recruitment in the summer.
But we've got to sell. We're going to have to sell to make room. And it's
at least 15
and then you've got instability, Greg. You've got instability again. And then we're starting all over again. And the one season that we did well is because we had stability. And we're going to have instability all over again. If we don't get Europe, this is where I'm going for. If we don't win it, but we'll come on to why I still think we should try. If we don't win it, then we can start actually stripping back our team to an 11 plus 5 of the subs that you want to use every single time. So 16 at a core, or maybe 18 at a core, plus some really good youth. And we've got Nets, we've got Savona, we've got Cunha, we've got others that can do it. And then you're just focusing on the league. You could then get back into Europa again next season by finishing in that kind of top 8, top 7. And then we can build more organically to do it. So that might be more sensible. But what Perchy and others talk about is rhythm for players and rhythm. And I think it's going to be key that the players get that rhythm. They've had 8 days off, but we can't just start pulling them out of games now that they've had their rest. I think that they want that rhythm of playing kind of 3 games in 2 weeks, I would say, as much as possible spread out to get that rhythm of playing. And they can have nothing left in the tank, but they're going to get another break. Those that aren't going on international duty, they're getting another break after those 4 games as well, right? So you just get the rhythm for the 4 games, go full tilt, do enough to Midtjylland, rest them. So that's kind of where I am in terms of priorities. So it's not, Champions League is not the be all and the end all, because it could be a poison chalice, to be honest, if we're being really practical about this. But the magic, just imagine if we got Champions League. I mean, just shove it to Derby like it's like going out of fashion. Like it would be so amazing if we did, but it would be so Forest to then have a bin fire afterwards as soon as then we got to the Champions League. So I don't know.
Yeah. I think, look, if we get Champions League by winning the Europa, it does stick 2 fingers up to the rest of the football world, because we are quite disliked by more fans because of the way Marinakis operates and so on. Look, I think if we win it, then we take whatever comes our way. But I think there's massive currency in us having a season off from Europe, at least, and go, you know what, let's reset, let's regroup, let's just get our ducks in a row and get that stability you've referenced back in order. Whether Vítor Pereira remains in charge remains to be seen. My own gut feeling is that he keeps us up and that he departs in the summer and Marco Silva becomes our manager over the summer. That's my gut feeling. We talked about one or two players possibly missing training. Adrian in the comments says it was Cunha and Ndoye that have missed training today. I'm not sure if that's factual or not, but that's the comment from him. Whether that affects team shape and selection, we won't know until obviously tomorrow night. But look, we go into tomorrow night, I think, and looking like we should, I think, pick the best team available. I've said that already. Whether that's a 3 at the back or whether it's the 4-3-2-1, my own opinion is pick the best team available. And let's win this time, put it to bed. And let's get through this round and hopefully beat Fulham, beat Spurs, take the rest. Then we're in the quarterfinals. We're in a better place in the league, and then we can really start to maybe enjoy the Europa and go, right, no, we're going for it. We're going for it. Okay, guys, we're out of time. Scott, any closing thoughts to give us on the match or in general before we go?
I think you've persuaded me, lads. I think I am. I do think we should now. I think we should now go strong. I think what you've said around the fact that we have had a rest, and then we've got these next couple of games, and then we're going to get another rest. So I think I've flip-flopped again. That I do think we should go hard. I think it's the confidence and momentum, though. For me, it's crucial at this time in the season. My biggest concern is if we did go a second string 11, and I'm not even sure whether who would be in a second string 11, to be honest with you, or we went like that mix, that kind of hedging our bets type 11. I just don't think the struggle to get the momentum and the confidence. So I think you've persuaded me, guys. I'm feeling better now. So I'll be up at 6 a.m. On Friday morning here in Queensland in Australia. 7 a.m. for Sydney and Melbourne. 4 a.m. for Perth. So yeah, look, I'm on the boat, and I should just say as well, just quickly, I'm not. I don't want to usurp Danscape with my poll. With the poll which I put up there, Danscape is definitely the legend when it comes to stats. But come on, you Reds! I'm feeling confident now. Looking forward to the game.
Quick score prediction, Scott.
We tend to score more in Europe, don't we? We tend to score more. We're at home. I'm going to say 2-0.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks for being with us, Scott. Raf, closing thoughts from you, buddy, and a score prediction as well.
Just anyone that's going to the game, bring it massively. And I think I think Man City gave us the little roots that are there of getting the vibe back and getting that team and that togetherness and that family all back together again. The club are trying. I think they're trying, and they're listening to Vítor of trying to get that together, of slashing the prices. Look, forgive and forget. Everyone get into the stadium. Everyone be together, and let's start building, like Scott was talking about, the momentum. So we feel brilliant going into Fulham, again, back at home, and we can bring the noise all over again. I'm really excited. I believe. I'm gutted I can't be there for personal reasons. This is the first home All Europa that I've missed. So those that are there represent for me, and come on, you Reds. Score prediction, 2 or 3-1. If Jesus is on it, 3-1. Otherwise, 2-1, we win.
Brilliant. Okay, quick word for the cheese trader, our main sponsor. Don't forget, you can order from Stu Freestone, who is based in York. You can order on Instagram. You can order on phone. All the information is in the bio. 10% off when you quote Talking Reds. Quickly as well, Forza Garibaldi have written an open letter to Mr. Marinakis. They've published it on X. I've scanned through it. It's talking about consultations and prices. They're calling for a freeze on season cards and ticket prices for next season. I haven't had a chance to read it all because I've only just picked it up. But go and read what Forza Garibaldi have said. It's on X. It's been put up in the last 30 minutes. They represent the fans, I think, really well. I'm sure you'd all agree. So, yeah, there's conversations hopefully going to be had about ticket prices going forwards. But the fans have voted. The fans have said, look, we want to come, but you can't keep rinsing us because there's lots of games Our support is unconditional, but if it has to be from afar, then it has to be from afar. So the club have listened, and fair play to them. Midtjylland come to Forest. It was defeat against them last time out. A win against the Midgets this time, though, would be absolutely massive. Come on, you Reds.
Come join Greg and Richard right here on Talking Red.